get Master Tom's.
All right. Are you going to do a little drumming before you do the reading?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Okay. That's loud.
It's like, yeah, it is. It's hard to hold. Let me know when you're starting.
Oh, I'm started already. Okay. What is that drum? Can we hold it up for me?
This is a drum that was given to me by Master Tom.
Oh, Master Tom
Con-ti-nent.
Fantastic.
Our Tai Chi master.
Yes,
He
indeed.
said he went to the swap meet and he saw it and he thought of me.
That is so sweet.
Yeah, I thought, well, thank you, Master.
He's a good soul.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Oh, well, okay. Let's get started without further ado.
Yes, please.
We are now the couple. They're in a little resort area.
Well, tell me the name of the book, please.
Oh, sorry. The name of the book. The name of the book is The Snake 2020.
The Snake 2020.
Yes.
Cover by Cedric Adams.
Covered by Cedric Adams.
Okay.
Back cover photo by Salena-Hawkins. Don't leave her out.
All right. There we go. Yes, indeed. All right. We got it. Thank you very
And
much.
at this point in time, this couple, they're taking a, I guess you call it just a little lover's holiday at a resort area called Kokoro Bite. Kokoro Bite. It's in Ghana. It's a very nice resort area. When we went there, we never made it there. We made it to Little Kokoro Bite, which is this one here. This one here.
Okay, with the boats and
Yeah.
people
This
fishing
is
off
like a
of
little small village some miles away from the Kokoro Bite that we didn't make it to. Is sort of like an amphitheater. It's an arena where they have cultural activities, dances from all over Ghana and so forth. So
You did capoeira there one time, right? At the big one?
I took my birimbau there and I had the opportunity to play birimbau with a master drummer named Mustafa. I'm glad to say.
Goodness. Okay. What a wonderful experience.
Yeah. I used to go there from time to time. I believe they had events going on from 12 o'clock to dark.
Wow.
And just a continuous career of people. We got a horseshoe-shaped arena. We're sitting here, and then the acts, if you want to call them that, would just simply come into the arena. One particular one I remember, it was the story of a village girl who had been stolen away by her sweetheart.
Oh my.
And over a period of time, we're sitting there, you know, having a good time, drinking beer, and suddenly you hear some drumming, and then this couple runs into the horseshoe-shaped arena. It's all outdoors. It's happening right in front of you. And, you know, we all stop and pay attention to what's happening. And they're talking to each other, and he's trying to get her to, let's go, let's go. He's pulling her along. No need to know what language it is, anything. It's a universal thing.
Right. You can tell.
And, you know, what? And then here behind them, you hear some other drumming, and the people who are chasing them come into the arena, and they circle around, and the couple stops every now and then. They hide behind trees that are imaginary.
Of course.
And, of course, the pursuers stop and track the ground, see where they are. They're about 15 yards away from each other. But it
requires imagination.
Yeah, you must lend yourself to imagination. And finally, I believe they managed to catch up with them, and we are made to understand that they are eloping, and the people, her father's against it, and his mother is disappointed because he didn't want to go with the girl that they had picked for him, and it's all done in pantomime.
Oh, how fantastic!
Yeah, pantomime. And then at some point during the course of all this happening, we are made to understand that, well, it's a Romeo and Juliet situation, so okay, we reluctantly agree, and they join arms and hands and go out singing and dancing. Beautiful shows.
Ah,
I mean, that kind of thing would, be happening all the time. Another one that I remember that used to knock me out is that you have some fantastically gyrating young woman who, had a dream body and and she's just drumming to this fantastic drumming and so forth and so on, and everybody's admiring her. Wow, look at how high she jumped in there, and how she rotates her hips, and at one point her hips are going one way and her top is going the other way, and one arm is going this way and that.
Yeah.
And finally she stopped, completely exhausted. I mean, it's covered with sweat. She's really just been doing it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then this older woman, maybe 60, maybe 80, she has a chewing stick in her mouth, and she walks across the arena, and every now and then she stops, she flirts, she lets you know she's thinking about. One of the little gestures they have in Ghana to let you know the people are thinking is that somebody might pull a hair out of their nose.
Oh my, okay.
It's an actual gesture.
Okay, right.
But she stops and does some of that. She'll stop. Everything she does is so incredibly fluid and beautiful that the woman who just got dancing, the young girl, people are applauding. They didn't applaud her. They just felt exhausted when she finished. And
right,
said,
okay,
okay, that was good.
Right.
But then, the
classic movement.
The classic movement.
Yes, right.
She got, like just what you did, she got one shoulder that tells you, well, I was young once, and the other shoulder tells you, I'm still young. She winks.
Just an older young person.
That's right. That's exactly what she is. At one point, she does a little turn that takes about a whole full minute for her to go all the way around. And when she finishes, she puts her hand on her hip and says, like, ooh.
I can, can you do this?
Kojo
and
his lady are at Kokrobite.
Okay.
Chapter 5.
Chapter 6.
Chapter 6. Oh, let me get this wrong. Yeah.
There you go.
I'm glad you told me that, otherwise I would have been wasting. Chapter 6.
Did you want to put the table in front of you so that you can...
I think I'll leave it there for the moment.
Oh, okay.
If I feel the need to do it, I'll just drag it over here.
Got it. Okay.
Kojo stared at Grace's profile. What was the question she asked before we went to sleep? How do you like being back in Africa, in Ghana here? He answered her silently. It's much better than it was the first time, much better. She seemed to stir herself awake, squirming around in place, yawning luxuriously. Oh, sorry. Good morning. Good morning. He leaned over to plant a small kiss on her lips. She turned her head to avoid the kiss and scrambled from under the mosquito netting. I'm coming. Yes, sweetheart, you can say that again. He listened to her bathing. Ghanaians, he had discovered during his first trip, were addicted to bathing, which is what the word sounded like to him. They took baths at night before going to bed, in the morning, in the afternoon, and other times in between. The bath shower was an event that stood small children in giant wash basins coated with soap suds to be scrubbed like living laundry. He laced his hands behind his head and panned the room. The pan is a film term.
Okay.
In the script, you just take your camera and pan. that look like that.
Okay.
I don't know why they call it panna. Guava and palm mixed.
Delicious.
He lays his hand behind his head and panned the room. An old-fashioned mosquito net, cane pole chairs, a cabinet for clothes, a bedside table. The fifth of Johnny Walker Black Label was half empty. We put a hurt on that bad boy last night. He smiled, feeling pleased with himself. Masculine. The film was in another kind of technicolor. The scene was taking place in a seaside hotel with all of the amenities, 2 lead characters, an African woman and an African-American man. He studied her as she emerged from the toilet bathroom. Gorgeous black woman, intelligent, lovely attitude. She took a jar of cream from her overnight bag and began to massage it into her face, arms, breasts, hips. Here, let me help you. I can put some on your back. She pulled the mosquito net up and sat on the side of the bed with her back to him. Thank you, kind sir. My pleasure, madame. Fragrant cream, yellow butter colored. He smeared some on both shoulder blades and gently massaged it into her skin. Is this cream responsible for your pretty smooth skin? He thought he felt a shiver as he massaged the cream into the 2 dimples in her lower back. I don't really know. I've just been using it all my life. Are you going to take your bath now? Kojo made a wry face behind his back. He really hadn't given it much consideration, his mind filled with other thoughts. Yes, please. An hour later, after the quick cold water shower and a massage with her cream, I don't know if men use this normally. Grace lay in the pit of his right arm, quietly answering questions he had asked. I really don't think that we think of love in quite the same way as you do. I have to admit I've been westernized to a great extent through my relationship with you, trips to England, Charles's influence. Charles. He was sensitive to the moment she took to consider what she should say. Charles was the African-American I spoke about. Oh, I see. Oh, this is interesting. Why should I feel jealous? Evidently, he didn't make a lasting impression, else I wouldn't be here. She wouldn't be in my arms. What I'm doing is generalizing based on the advice that my mother gave me, my aunts, other women, mostly older women. They never seemed to emphasize the love factor. It seemed for them the important thing was that the man would be reasonably faithful, wouldn't drink too much or spend his money foolishly. I can't recall anyone talking to me about love.
Wow.
I think the concept of love, as you know it, is still sort of a movie thing. They were silent for a few long moments, unhurried, feeling lovely about their feelings. It's interesting, you know, that women would think like that. Where I come from, I think everybody's searching for someone to love. I don't think it's a bad idea. She leaned up on her elbow to kiss him. They told each other silly stories and giggled through a long lunch hour. Wonder where our neighbors are. Maybe they haven't gotten out of bed yet. After lunch, they wandered down the rocky path to the large boulders bordering the beach. Grace, I have the weirdest feeling that you're not the same woman I knew when I was here. I wasn't a woman at all, not at all. Were you a man? I thought I was. He spoke so earnestly that it provoked both of them into laughing. A bright, clear day, the air cleansed by the rain, a beautiful woman at my side. I must be in heaven. No, you're in Ghana on the Con-ti-nent. They seemed to be doing things telepathically. A second before he unseated himself on the rocks to stroll along the rain-soaked beach, she was standing, waiting for him to make his move. When he held out his hand, hers was there for him to hold. Grace, let's go back to our room. I have an Anansi story I want to tell you. Yes, please. He woke up from the dream with an enormous appetite. The mosquito net gave the space above their bed an ethereal look. He studied the angles, thinking about the position of the cameras, the need for intimacy in the scene. Kojo, what are you doing, shooting a movie? No, baby, I'm designing a film. What's the difference? Well, number one, movies are made as assembly line things. A car chase, 63 murders, a sexy so-called love scene, a blown-up ending. The film is something else. You'll have nuances of feeling in a film that could never be duplicated. I have the feeling that most movies are Xerox. A film, never. It wouldn't be possible to duplicate any of the emotional elements that make a film cry. Cry? Or moan? Or delight? Or dazzle? Or whatever. I saw a French film by the French master of comedy satire, a dude named Jacques Tati. You know him? I don't think so. Well, here we go. Jacques Tati. Do you know him? She nodded no. Jacques Tati, he may be dead now, but he made a series of satirical films. Mon Oncle, Monsieur Hulot Takes a Holiday, Playtime. Playtime is the one I've tripped on for years. You've done what? Tripped on, you know, let myself get taken off on. Oh. This language thing is trippy. Have to remember that. Tati made a film that satirizes modern life and emotions. I'm sure some New York critic will say something else, but that's what it was like for me. Film, something you may see a dozen times and feel that you're seeing it for the first time every time. So you want to do a film in Ghana here. So help me God, if the creek don't rise and the summer don't turn cold. Huh? Oh, just something my grandfather said sometimes. Saturday morning, Kojo blinks his eyes open to find Grace staring into his face. Well, what is this? What's what? What are you doing? I'm just looking at you. Oh? It was midday before they unwound themselves from each other as Kojo jackknifed to an awake position. Damn it! I forgot to call the Chine boys. She smiled and cooed. Don't mind them. This man has been here for a few days. He was supposed to get in touch with these people when he got to town. Because they are good friends of his parents. But he hasn't had a chance to get there yet. They sat on the veranda in front of their room, sipping glasses of scotch and watching the misty rain come down. I guess this rain will wash out the performances today, huh? If it isn't too heavy, it may stop in an hour or so, or a week or so. Only God knows. It may have started off just being a weekend with an old girlfriend who had become a new person, but now it was obviously something more. Grace, it seems that I've been asking you questions since Thursday evening. I hope I've answered all of them to your satisfaction, except for one. I noticed that you ducked away from that. She took a long sip of her drink and turned to face him with a sad look in her eyes. Do I want to get married? Yes and no. I'm 24 years old, a good age to get married here. But I don't feel that marriage would be right for me now. I'm almost too educated and vocal for this place, which would cause me problems with most Ghanaian men. You got other men in the world, you know, who are not Ghanaians. And I couldn't imagine myself living anywhere but Ghana here. He felt the impulse to argue, but censored himself. If I'm not asking her to marry me, what's the point of arguing with her about it? What do we do? Make love, enjoy ourselves, see what tomorrow brings. Grace, let's go inside. Yes, please. A gray-toned skin, a gray-toned sun beamed on the people in the triple-deck audience, gave the sweating dancers a gleaming look. Kojo and Grace watched the performances of the dancers, drummers for an hour, drinking and thinking. After an hour, by mutual consent, they threaded their way past the Europeans and wandered down the road leading away from the resort. Well, what do you think? This your first time? No, no, no. I've seen it before. Strange, I wasn't able to put my finger on what disturbed me the first time. Now I think I can. It's got something to do with things being out of context. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. They passed thatched huts where people stopped doing what they were doing for a few seconds to stare at your rich people from the resort down the road. The village dances from the different places that they're doing don't seem to be fit here, making these movements on concrete white people. They aren't all white. Well, people taking pictures of them as though they were animals in the zoo. People do that everywhere. I know they do, but it still bothers me. I agree with you. It's good to see the money coming in, but sad to see the decadence that it breeds. Did you notice how sluggish the last group looked? Kojo flashed back on the energetic shoulder-arm movements, the 6'8" pelvic action of whirling and athletic leaps. Sluggish? They didn't look sluggish to me. I guess you'd have to know the dance to know how it should really be done. And that's why I agree with you about seeing things done out of context. The mood, the feeling, the ambiance, if you want to call it that, is missing. You should see the way the dances, the rituals are done in the villages. I'm planning to do that next week. Really? Yes, I thought about it, about spending all my time in the big city. That really isn't where it's at in Ghana here. You're right. Do you have any specific place in mind? No, not really. I just thought I'd get on a bus and ask him to drop me off somewhere. She smiled a special little smile at him. I have relatives in Chito. I'll give you a note for my auntie Eugenia. Monday morning, 6 a.m. On the road back to Accra. And this is what it looks like. The title on this picture is No SEIU for Workers in Ghana.
Let me see here. We go in. Let me zoom in. Okay, there's some men riding on the back of a truck.
That's right.
Okay.
Either going to work or coming from work or something. He's using movie description. Exterior day, interior of taxi taking the honeymoon couple who have never been married back to the humdrum of life in the big city. The woman is making a speech. Grace. What do people outside care about what happens to us here? All they want to do is come here and take advantage of the exchange rate. See Ghana, life in the third world on pennies a day. I don't care about the African-American emotional thing. They would probably feel the same if they went to Burkina Faso or Togo. Some of them might feel the same if they went to France or England. I'm simply annoyed with the arrogance, the ignorance, the assumption that we're happy in our little mud huts. Bullshit. Yes, bullshit. We want the same things other people have and more because we have been denied much longer than they have. Kojo? Huh? What are you thinking? You look worried about something. No, I'm not worried about anything, just thinking about all of this. He pointed with his chin at the scenes they were being driven through. Small boys pushing an open cart filled with cement sacks. Small girls balancing trays of different items on their heads, all heavy. Men and women hustling to make their daily bread. Men taking early morning pisses against piss-stained walls. Thousands of people trying to figure out a way to get away from the rainy season mud. The mosquitoes carrying hallucinogenic, deadly malaria to poverty. Yes, it does give one a lot to think about. The sky above, mud below. What's that, the title of the song? No, it's the title of a French documentary about the indigenous people of New Guinea. Something I saw years ago. The scene brought it back to my mind. Grace took a pen and a small pad with her name printed in the upper right-hand corner, he noticed, and scribbled a note. Kojo, this is for my aunt Eugenia in the village. When are you planning to go? I don't know. I thought this evening, maybe. I would wait until tomorrow. The roads are quite bad in the area you're going to. Sounds rough to me. Believe me, village living is rough. You'll see. How long are you planning to stay? Well, I was thinking about a week or so. He detected a cynical curl to her smile. Give me a ring when you return. I'll be anxious to hear about your experience. She asked to have the taxi drop her off first. I have something to pick up, and I'm not expected in my office before 10 o'clock in any case. Would you care to come in and have breakfast with me? Grace, seriously. If I come upstairs, if I come inside, you wouldn't make it to work today. You're right, I wouldn't. They shared a long-winded, delicious kiss under the curious gaze of the taxi driver and parted. Don't forget, call me as soon as you get back. I will. He watched her stroll up the muddy path to her apartment entrance. I wonder what's going to happen to us.
Good question.
Driver, I want to go to Timma. Here's the address I want to go to. Do you know Timma? I was born in that place, sir. An hour and 45 minutes later, they were still trying to locate the Chinabua family house in the driver's birthplace. They have the new buildings here. It is now different when I was a small boy. Finally, after a dozen inquiries, they were directed to the proper gate. It is just there. A maid, the kind of maid who gives the occupation a bad reputation, made him understand that they have gone out, Mr. and Mrs. Chinabua. Do you have any idea when they'll be back? No, please. Do you know where they went? No, please. Can I leave them a note? Yes, please. They say, somebody told me that they got that from the English who wanted everybody to be so polite and, you know, to acknowledge the great white man. So they had to be using these super polite terms for everything. Yes, please. No, please. C. Insert. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Chinabua, please accept my deepest apologies for not being able to come here on Friday. It seems that Ghana has grabbed me with its own rhythm and I must go with the flow. I'll be in touch. Sincerely yours, Kojo B. Brown. The Chinabuas, Dad's old friends from his first visit to the Con-ti-nent. They probably faxed Mom and Dad to tell them that I've gotten over here and lost my mind. And I could see both of them rolling on the floor asking each other, I wonder what's her name. 11 a.m., a fast getaway from Timma. Beautiful. I paid my respects. They went at home. I'll be back when I get back. 11 a.m. Maybe I should have taken Grace up on her offer to have breakfast. Accra, Ghana was filled with surprises. Ghana was Accra. Accra was Ghana. A double barrel load of surprises. He did close-up from his corner table of the Mercedes hubcaps on the wall in front of him, the photos of Mario Andretti climbing out of the winning race car, spectacular photos of race cars scraping the walls of racetracks, exact drawings of sweetly designed machines. I can see what Grace means by African mysteries. I asked the driver one simple question. Where can I get a good breakfast when I wind up here? He could look out of the front door past the pleasantly designed fern-shaded veranda into the heart of a car repair shop yard. Well, what's it be, Mike? A short, lumpy Englishman with a bulbous red nose stood at his side with an order pad in his hand. An Englishman? I don't know what he had. Well, I say this much, you got breakfast all day long. Eh? He made the statement with a smile and plucked a menu from a nearby table. Kojo studied the items. He could have been in an English country inn. Give me this Scotch sausage, scrambled eggs, rye toast, and marmalade. Take something like that to drink. Huh? What? I was in our beer with me with her. Oh, sure, beer. Damn, I haven't had a decent workout in days. He did a paying crane shot of the interior of the restaurant. It was filled with upper-class Ghanaians, judging from the UK stiffened English they spoke, and a large number of old-school ties. The irony of it struck him. I've just left a seaside resort miles from Accra, filled to the brim with Europeans dying to experience Ghanaian African culture, and here are all the Ghanaians having an English breakfast. Eggs, do you like them, sir? Kojo stared at the beautifully scrambled eggs, the crisply tanned sausage, the golden toast, the shimmering marmalade. I'm sure they will. Who does the cooking? Oh, my nieces. Yeah, excuse me, sir. Am I gotta go over here and see Kawaii's first. Kojo forked up his eggs and bit the crispy tan sausage, watching the waiter owner bid effusive farewells to a quartet of firmly anglicized Ghanaians. We're going to do a Barbie on Sunday. Plenty for everybody. Come on if you can. Hey? There's a logical disorder in the third world, no doubt about it. Well, what are you contributing? The sausage was a meat eater's dream, filled with a couple of spices that talked to the front of the tongue. The eggs were not over-fried or greasy, and the toasted marmalade were perfectly married. The well-chilled beer was a kind of dessert for it all. Kojo felt high again, sipping the dregs in his mug. Think you might want one of those, another one of those, sir? No, thank you, I'm fine. What's the damage? What was it? Yes, I thought your strength, young, but I didn't just me nose. What the hell was that supposed to mean? Oh well. Alfie Snipes, the eastern sector of London. These people come in here, what think some are cockney and I'm not. I'm just me, dinky poor Alfie in Ghana here. Breakfast over, Kojo avoided a prolonged, effusive farewell scene with the waiter owner and made a careful exit. Alfie, be cool, see you next time. Anytime, mate. Anytime, we always here. Kojo sprawled on his bed in the Ghana garden, properly shaved, talked, bellied up on his English breakfast, daydreaming, one of his favorite pastimes. Granddad, mama, dad, family, I'm here. I'm in Africa. I'm in Ghana here. That's the way everybody says it. Ghana here. Even the English teachers, that is to say, the English who brought the English here say, in Ghana here. I have the feeling of having returned to the best and worst of all possible worlds. Yeah, that's pretty much the vibe, which is one of the basic reasons why I'm moving onto the village scene for a moment. Mama, there's this gorgeous woman. I'm talking about her in the old-fashioned sense of the word that I first met when I came here the first time. Now it's late in the game, maybe the second half, and she has turned me on to her relatives in the village. I can't say that what we may mean to each other, but I can assure you that if she winds up being your daughter-in-law, you'll be dealing with a conscious African woman. I say, Ashe. It cost him twice the amount it would usually cost because it is the rainy season and this place is very difficult to reach, you understand? Where are we going exactly? This village is in the Volta area. The Volta area, well, that's north of Ghana in any case. North of Accra in any case. Could be north of Ghana. One thing is certain, it won't be easy to get to, he's right. He made a peripheral study of the driver, an older man, 40-something, serious looking. Doesn't want to do wild things on the road, steady. 7 a.m. Driver, what's your name? I am called Joshua. Ghanaians have a hell of a thing for names. All the women are named Comfort, Mercy, Patience, Mary, or Grace. If they don't have something really trivial like Antoinette or Michaela. And all the men seem to be named after Christian prophets and seers. Ebenezer, Jonah, Emmanuel, Peter, Paul, Joshua, no Judas or Jezebel. Have you driven to this village before? Do you know the area? I am from this area. I know it. They always say that.
I'm serious.
Can you take me to West Hill? Oh, yes. It will be hot, but we will go. Kojo decided not to question the man's credentials too closely. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Don't start lumping people. The timber driver was a different bird. Let it go. He sucked in a lungful of air and exhaled slowly. They were out of the city, away from the grim scenes that some people thought were picturesque. The grime of the street, the people making a bitter struggle for survival. Ghana was the countryside, and he felt himself melting into it. The greenness of it was nourished by the rains. A lush, muddy, red road took him through it. Chito. Chito was his destination. Chito, it could be the end of the world, or the beginning of time, or nothing. He resisted staring at the peeled-back scenes that popped up in front of his eyes for a few minutes. The teenage girls, their pert breasts begging to be touched, walked proudly beside the taxi carrying loads on their heads that he couldn't even lift. Middle-aged women, bare-breasted, pounding, grinding stuff in mortars, totally involved with their work. Men carrying tree trunks on their heads, walking up steep hills. Driver, Joshua, look at that. Kojo settled back in the passenger seat trying to cool himself out. No need to be square about things. What the hell am I pointing out to this man? He knows all about it. There were sections of time when he felt they had entered another time zone, a place so far back that people were still innocent. In the villages they passed through, he had the feeling of being a dream quality to the scene. No one was rushing to do anything. There was no sense of stress or urgency. Life seemed to be timeless. Joshua, let's stop at the bar here and have a beer. Oh, sorry, sir. I never take alcohol while I'm working. Good show. The man, brother, there's a gym. I have to figure out a way to stay in touch with him. The road they were on made him think of a red river of mud. How much further do we have to go? 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. The sky above, mud below. Scenes from the documentary flickered through his consciousness. Men with broad noses, bones stuck through, brooding eyes, magnificent feather headdresses, stomping a dance into the soupy mud. The river of mud segued into a wide trail of lumps, eroded patches of road, and what seemed to be no road at all. Kojo made a mental note to dash the driver generously. In the wetness, the mud, people sat at roadside selling fruit, bread, stalks of sugar cane, yams, pineapples, tomatoes, and stuff he couldn't identify. Joshua, let's stop at the next place they're selling pineapples. 2 pineapples for less than he would pay for a popsicle in America. The drive continued. He felt nauseous for a few miles from the jolting of the car over the lumpy roads. The driver noticed, not far at all, son. Glad to hear that. It had been on the tip of his tongue a half dozen times. Turn around, let's go back. Where the hell are we going?
Why going there?
Why are we going there? Around a great green bend in the road, the driver slithered to a stop. There's Chito. Kojo felt himself do a classic double take. Where? He could only see a muddy path with strategically placed stones lining its length, gently meandering up a small hill. It is there. Just there, beyond that rise. Kojo made a few quick calculations. Joshua, I think you ought to come with me just in case nobody's home. I can go back with you, or you can translate for me. Should I take your bag? Let's leave it till we find out what the deal is. 2 women with enormous trays of cassava on their heads passed along the road talking, taking in the sight of the unfamiliar men and taxis as though it were an everyday occurrence. Kojo followed the driver up the incline, being careful to step on the same rocks he stepped on. On the other side of the slope was the village called Shito. T-S-I-T-O. Kojo stared at the carefully arranged pattern of thatched homes, mud-wattled walls, and thatched roofs. This looked like something out of National Geographic. Goats and chickens wandered at will. He could immediately see an orderly pattern in the design of the place. A main street with mom-and-pop stores on one side, a drinking bar on the other side. The other structures placed in a wheel-like pattern. Well, ain't nothing will happen standing on this hill. Let me dive down to it and locate Aunt Eugenia. This Chito, the driver said as they walked into the heart of the village. I believe you. There was no problem to find Aunt Eugenia. She was delighted to have the note read to her from her niece in the big city. She was delighted to welcome Kojo to her home for as long as he wanted to stay. Kojo made a snap decision. Joshua, can you pick me up, collect me next week on this same day? Yes, sir. A few minutes later, watching the taxi ooze away on the muddy road, he felt as though he had been left in a small village in the Volta region. He was an immediate celebrity. Small children followed the two of them to the village, Aunt Eugenia balancing his small, heavily packed suitcase on her head. How did that get there? The village seemed to be inhabited by women, children, and old men. Where the young man? Aunt Eugenia stood in front of a red, muddle-wattled hut with a well-thatched roof that looked like a dozen other nearby and gestured for him to enter. Kojo tried not to look like the wonder-struck explorer as he entered the hut. Aunt Eugenia came in after him and deposited his bag in another room. He was still standing in the same place when she reappeared with a glass of water and a carafe. "You are welcome," she said. "Thank you," he answered, and drank the water. Remember to save a few drops to dribble on the floor as he mumbled, "God bless this house." She took the glass and carafe, placed them on a nearby table, and stood in front of him with a shy smile on her face. Beautiful old lady, he thought of his grandfather. I wish he were here with me now. Aunt Eugenia, I'm called Kojo." "Yes, Kojo, the note tells all." Yes, Grace had written a comprehensive note that someone once coined the term. "This is my good friend Kojo Bediako Brown. He would like to stay with you in the village. Give him what he wants. Love, Grace." You have a very nice house," he said honestly. He knew the neatly swept, hard-packed dirt floor, the carefully stacked household items, and the dim interior would never find a niche in the pages of the home beautiful, but it was exactly right for this place. After a few moments of shy smiling at each other, she beckoned him to follow her. Hazy sunshine glazed his eyes as he emerged from the hut. "Come," she gestured with the Ghanaian palm down, fingers pulled in motion. He followed her slow, steady sway through the village, smiling at the faces that looked at him. A few people returned to smile shyly, but most of them simply looked with deadpan expressions. He followed Aunt Eugenia the length of the village, leaving him to wonder, is she showing me off or what? They came to a collection of huts with a wall enclosing them. Once again, she beckoned for him to follow her. He followed as she turned the corner of a hut and led him into a courtyard, framed in a circular pattern by grizzled old men sitting on stools. Where's the camera? Why didn't I bring my Super 8 with me at least? Look at these dudes. He looked into his grandfather's eyes, his great-grandfather's eyes. I'm going to do an Alex Haley number when I get back. I feel like these are my relatives. A younger man detached himself from the collection of men. "Good afternoon. Good afternoon." People can be so formal. "I'm called Peter. I'm called Kojo. You are welcome. Thank you." He looked around for Aunt Eugenia. She had done a disappearing act. The young man led him to the receiving line, a handshake and a smile for each of the elders and a stool for him. People can be so formal. One of the elders stood and spoke for a long 5 minutes. Kojo found himself feeling sluggish. Stay awake, don't be a poor guest. The sonorous sounds of their ewe almost made him feel he was understanding a language that didn't resemble any language he'd ever heard before. Peter gave him a succinct translation of the 5-minute speech. The elders say, "You are welcome to Shito." Please tell the elders I said thank you. They used to always kill me. Somebody would go on for Peter, the translator, used the better part of 5 minutes to say what Kojo had asked him to say. "Thanks, Peter. I didn't have a speech prepared." The speech making over, it was time for drinking of the local apateshi. Aunt Eugenia led him back to the village after a couple hours of apateshi drinking with the elders. She had materialized at just the right point, coming back onto the scene to retrieve him just as coolly as she had left him there. The men liked the strong spirits. I heard that. There were younger men in the village now, he noticed. They go to farm, come back now. He liked the old lady, her spare use of language. Maybe she doesn't speak a lot of English, but whatever she says is right on the money. He smelled it as he entered the hut, a strong, almost sexy odor. He was tempted to ask what the odor was, decided to be cool. "Time for food," The old lady spoke in a no-nonsense way and brought him a bowl of water with a sliver of soap floating in it. After the long taxi ride, the appetition, and the new scene, he felt hungry and tired. Yeah, some food, that's just what I need. Fufu, of course, light soup and meat. What kind of meat? Strong scent, strong flavor. This is what I was smelling. Aunt Eugenia had served him a bowl of food and was about to do her disappearing act when he asked her, Auntie, what kind of meat is this? Goat? This bush meat. Bush meat, she said, and eased away. He stared into the bowl of fufu, soup, and small chunks of meat. Rat.
Yep.
Bush meat.
Yep.
Rat. That's what bush meat is. It's a rat.
Meat.
Suddenly the tiredness that he felt was gone. The sluggishness of travel and drink was pushed to the side. It was time for decisions to be made. Now what? I'm in the village of Chito, where big rats are a delicacy, if I recall correctly. I'm hungry, and aside from everything else, it would probably be insulting if I refused to eat this. He ate all the meat in his bowl first, making a snap decision. If I can't eat all of the fufu, nobody will be insulted. Aunt Eugenia reappeared at the conclusion of his meal with another bowl of water and a small cloth to dry his hands. Kojo, you like bush meat, some do not. Kojo stumbled into the other room and carefully sprawled on a mat that was spread on a low platform of hardened mud. And that is the end of chapter 6. We begin chapter 7 tomorrow at about the same time, the same place. What's going on?
I see with him, whenever he's anywhere, he's a filmmaker at heart.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
And so he's always trying to, whatever scene he's in, he's trying to make a movie. Like
his eyes are just cameras.
Okay.
And he's making a movie. I'm glad you caught that because that's what he is about. He is about filmmaking. And it's like, the writer shouldn't be caught without his pad and pencil or pad and pen or whatever.
Or laptop.
And the laptop. Yes, of course. Those people.
Yes.
And the filmmaker, has to have his film.
Right. He's awfully brave and awfully correct. You eat the bush meat.
When in Rome, eat as the Romans.
You asked to come to the village. Nobody asked you to come.
Mentioning Romans, did you know they in times past they paid Roman soldiers with mice?
With mice?
Yeah, with dormice.
Oh.
It was a delicacy, and they gave them bonuses of mice. Look it up. I mean,
okay, very interesting.
They ate mice.
Okay, well, I guess it's probably healthier than potato chips.
I'd have to believe that.
Okay, and I like the yes please, because I've always used it, but I didn't know where it came from. I've always, I've used it in my conversation.
Say yes, please. They fused it in, yes, please.
That's what I have a tendency to say, yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know where it came from. Maybe a relative a long time ago.
Yeah,
No.
it's there.
It's there. We're all one.
So where can they buy this book?
They can buy it on Amazon, at Author House, Barnes & Noble. Your website is www.odiehawkins.com, where you have over 30 books. You're also on the Amazon author page as well. And I truly look forward to Chapter 7. I got totally mesmerized in Chapter 6.
Oh, that's great.
All right, and I know Grace was missing him.
Yeah, he did what he had to do.
Well, yes, taking care of business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's this other? Make father because I had to go from one city to another, from one hired inn to another.
Right.
So.
True.
Okay, so we'll continue going
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.